Okay, so I promised you all some behind the scenes, some sneak peeks, that kind of thing. Maybe you have a product that's in your heart and you're thinking, okay, what are some of the things I need to do to get it manufactured, to get it made, right? Well, one thing I want to tell you is get your documents in order. Make sure you have a checklist of documents and things that you really need before you go to manufacturing. And one thing that you want to have in place, and this is not something that's commonly taught, but if you're working with an international market, specifically China, you want to make sure you have what's called an NNN in place. NNN. Triple N. Now, I'm going to tell you this little funny story about how they tried to get your girl. They tried to get your girl overseas. They tried to scam me, y'all. They tried to scam me. Now, what is an NNN? So, you've heard probably of non-disclosure agreements. You know, that means you can't tell anybody. That's what we use in the U.S. You can't tell anybody about my product, my trademark, my intellectual property. You can't share that. Well, you need more than a non-disclosure when you're working overseas in China. You need that NNN. That is a non-disclosure, non-use, non-circumvention document. That protects you, because what can happen is if somebody comes along, maybe they have something similar and that company was manufacturing your product, guess what? They can just give away and start trying to let that other person have your proprietary product if you don't have that in place. So thankfully I had my NNN in place, and here's the second part of this. Make sure that it is not only in English, but in Chinese. So that is going to require a little bit of research how to get that done, and I can tell you how to do that later. But make sure it's in Chinese and English. So y'all, I sent my document, and it was in Chinese. Had my lawyer to write it up in Chinese, and the manufacturer sent it back with the seal and the signature and all of that, right? But the Holy Spirit said, have that document checked. When I had the document checked, y'all, they tried to get your girl. They had changed the agreement terms. It was completely not what we had sent to them. And I guess they thought that we weren't going to check to make sure that the Chinese writing stayed the same. Y'all, they tried to get your girl. So we sent it back. Although we knew we weren't going to deal with them at that point because you're shady. But we sent it back and said, hey, I said, hey, I don't know what happened, but this document does not read like we sent it to you. Things have been changed in your language. How about you change it back to what we had? So you cannot be afraid to call people out. You cannot be afraid when you're talking overseas. You don't want to come off as a bully, but you got to let them know that you're handling your business. Because they'll try to get you, y'all. They'll try to scam you. So that's just one of the little tips behind the scenes, something that happened, but thankfully we were putting things in place, and God was directing our steps. And so if you're thinking about creating a product and you're trying to take it overseas, make sure you get an NNN. All right, so this was just a little tip, little share with you, and I hope it has been a fun share today. Have a blessed one.